Thank you. So I'm with the Norwegian Ministry of Education and Research, and I'm also a member of the EOSC steering board. I think well, first of all, I guess this is why we are here, most of us. This is what it's about. It's about sharing the public good that research data is, of course. And what I'm thinking, the previous panel gave us the big picture. This is not that. This is a much more focused topic on from a national perspective and development of national policies. And basically, I would say that in Norway, and I think in many other countries represented here, we have the policy ambitions in place. And then you might ask what's not to like, why are we discussing this? And I like to put emphasis on the word ambitions. So we have policies that express ambitions, but they are not the same as practice, I'm afraid. So just briefly, we have a national strategy on access to and sharing of research data. And again, this is not very controversial, and I guess not something that are likely to wake you up from the kind of after lunch slumber. The three main or basic principle is that research data should be as open as possible, as closed as necessary, that they should be managed and curated to take full advantage of their potential. And this, I might add, implies that, among other things, the data must be published under a license that clearly specifies how the data can be used. And I will get back to this issue later. And then also decisions concerning archiving and management of research data must be taken within the research community. So this is, I guess, well aligned with the European policy landscape and how many of us think about these things. Another important policy document, of course, is the Research Council of Norway's policy for open access to research data. And in Norway, we have one research council. So all projects awarded funding must assess the need for data management plans, and the Research Council recommends that the projects follow international fair principles. In addition, we have a more recent strategy for higher education and research, mentioning EOSC explicitly. These documents does not, they precede EOSC. So, and I guess this speaks to what Walker mentioned earlier today about policy development and listening to the people with the shoes on the research community. And we are here to, I guess, facilitate the work and make it as easy as possible for them to do their work. And we should try to identify the pain points. And we commissioned a report from our committee through the Research Council on sharing and reuse of research data. So this is the voice from Norway on I guess the field of tension between national policies and the everyday work of researchers. We asked them to look into issues relating to the rights and licenses in connection with the sharing of data sets in research by reviewing relevant legislation. describe different types of licenses and considering the impact of different choices of license for the researcher, the institutions, and society at large. And finally, discuss the conditions that must be put in place to achieve the objectives of more sharing and reuse of research data. So they had quite a few findings. This is a selection of them. First of all, and this has also been at least mentioned earlier today, about the term, what's research data? That can be a lot of different things. And we need to be aware of that. You might have mentioned or noticed earlier in my presentation, the Research Council is recommending or asking projects that are awarded funding to consider data management plans. So they are not required to have them. It depends on the data and the projects, of course. And there are many laws and regulations that address rights, requirements, obligations, and protection relating to research data. And they are from many fields. Research data are diverse, and legislations are from many sectors. There are substantial expertise that is required to interpret the extensive and somewhat fragmentary regulatory framework and arrive at good solutions when the data is to be shared. The committee does not recommend the government to develop a comprehensive legislation for research data. It would be nice to have, but it's probably not feasible because of all the different sectors and interests. So, and this obviously means that the individual researchers cannot be expected to have this competence. So it's about institutional support systems as well. And finally, they point out that there is currently no optimal license that contains all relevant terms and conditions for research data. And that brings me to one of the recommendations from the committee. They recommend that an international standard license or dedication to the public domain for open sharing of data should be devised that supports research ethics principles and academic standards for citation and integrity in research. And that, as we heard earlier today, is work already in progress somewhat by the subcommittee of the steering board. So, and we are very pleased with that, of course. So that's it for this introduction, and I recommend the full report. I guess the presentations will be available, Sarah. So, yeah, the latest.
Thank you, Ola.